Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the MLB slate for Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. We have a huge 15-game slate tonight. Also, only have like a single game for NBA, so I think a lot more people will be playing baseball today. Wanted to go ahead and get a video out for this huge slate. So let's get started. As always, appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Looking at the totals today and the projected lineups, see a couple of teams that I'm looking to stack up. Also have cores on the slate, that will always get ownership. Other teams that I'm looking to stack besides the Oakland A's are the Brewers once again. They've been scoring some runs recently. Scored 7 last night. I believe they scored 7 the game before that. Peacock's only making he's only made a few starts so far. He's been okay, but the advanced numbers say that he should regress. He's given up 5 home runs in just 28 innings. The only thing he's been really good at is limiting the walks, only 3 walks, but the strikeout rate isn't really there, just 21 Ks in 28 innings. It's a good ballpark to hit in, so I expect the Brewers to hopefully stay hot here and maybe make do some more damage to this Diamondbacks pitching staff that has just been decimated all year and been getting just kind of getting lit up all year. And the best part is that the Brewers are just super cheap, both on FanDuel and on DraftKings. Their main stack you can get very, very cheap. You can get the top 2 guys are below $2,700. You got Yelich 51 as your pay up, but Garcia's cheap, Narvaez is cheap, Shaw is cheap. They're just such a good cheap stack that will allow you to pay up at pitcher today, which is something I want to do, and they have been swinging the hot bat, so hopefully they stay hot for another game. Another team that I'm looking to stack is the Angels here against Duggar at home. Too bad Ohtani. I don't think you can play him. You can't play him in the outfield spots. That sucks. But you can still get Justin Upton, first or leadoff hitter, outfield at just $3,400. You can mix in Rendon. You can mix in Jared Walsh. There are still. The Angels lineup has really looked different recently since Trout's been out, and they've been missing some other guys. But you can still go with some guys here at the top of the order, especially Upton looks appealing if he bats leadoff. And then just some other one-offs that I'm looking at are like Lamonte Wade is just $2,800 batting leadoff for a red-hot Giants team. You can go Alex Dickerson as well. Jake Arrieta's not good against lefties. He gives up home runs. He gives up some hard hits, and wind is blowing out a bit, which will help what is a very good pitching ballpark or pitcher-friendly ballpark. And then you can mix in some of these Twins and Royals. I would say Brad Keller has not been good this year. Cruz looks great. Donaldson coming off of a monster game last night, and then you can go with a $2,200 outfielder, go with the other outfielder at $4,400 if you wanted to pay up a bit. Those are the main stacks I'm looking at. I don't want to stack the Dodgers or I don't want to stack the Braves today. They're facing off against good pitchers. You couldn't go with some one-offs against both those guys, but I'm not looking to stack anybody. And then I think you can look to maybe some Cleveland Indians. They could get overlooked. Only a 4.3 total, but they're going up against the Orioles in Baltimore, which is one of the best hitter-friendly ballparks. You're going up against a lefty, so, Jose Ramirez looks appealing. Ahmed Rosario looks good as well. Their bottom half of the order is not appealing to stack, but definitely can mix in a couple of these guys, maybe even Harold Ramirez. But going back to DraftKings here, pitching-wise, you have a ton of aces, so it's definitely a spot where I want to pay up for both of my pitchers, I would assume, in cash at least. So first pitcher, Scherzer looks great against the Phillies. Zach Wheeler actually is actually the favorite in this game. They have like a .1 run total higher, if that means anything to you. He's pitching at home, and Zach Wheeler has been absolutely dominant recently. He's been their best pitcher this year. 92 strikeouts already on the season, coming off of a 14 strikeout game. He struck out 10 plus in 3 straight, and the last 2 were against the Red Sox and the Rays. 2 pretty solid offenses. This Washington lineup is not very scary besides Juan Soto, just a guy you're going to have to be careful with, and Trey Turner. Otherwise, I think you'll be able to have a lot of success, and there are some strikeouts in this lineup. And then the second pitcher I like is Freddie Peralta. Just give me 2 guys that can rack up double-digit strikeouts, and I'll be happy. Both guys are facing off against below-average offenses. This Diamondbacks offense is not scary at all, besides Ketel Marte, maybe David Peralta, maybe Escobar, but they strike out a bunch, and Peralta's been awesome all year. Been playing him a lot in the beginning of the year. Then he went on a little bit of a cold streak, which was like putting 11, 16, or 11, 15, 15 fantasy points. But recently he's been back 3 out of his last 4. He's top 30. Been getting over 100 pitches in the last couple starts. And expect the Brewers to win this game, so hopefully he gets the win and gets those extra points. And then going with the bats here, definitely love the Brewers stack just because they're so affordable. First guy I want to go with, though, is just a bit of a value guy, and that's Lamonte Wade. You can play him at first base. You can play him in the outfield spot. He's been leading off for the Giants, and if you give me a leadoff hitter at $2,800 going up against Arrieta, a lefty as well, I'll definitely take that. It'll allow me to pay up for a couple of my bats, and Wade has been pretty good so far in his limited time this year. In just 25 at-bats, he has 7 hits, home run, 2 extra base hits, and maybe can be looking at 5 at-bats today. Another guy that I like here, hopefully Colton Wong is back in the lineup. We'll see. If he's not, then maybe we'll go with like another value on the Brewers side. But another guy that I like is Rosario. He is probably going to be batting second for the Indians against a lefty in Aiken. Looking at his stats for this year, I just love the ballpark, and I think that Indians are definitely going to score some runs. Only been a few games for him. Only has pitched 15 innings, given up 2 home runs, 14 Ks. At home, he has a 7.11 ERA in those 2 games that he pitched at home. It's just been 6 innings, but this ballpark is conducive to a lot of runs, and Rosario has been swinging a bit of a hot bat recently, to say the least. 364 in his last 10 with 576 slugging. He also gives you some speed on the base paths, so you get a nice, some power and definitely a lot of speed combination with Rosario at a pretty good spot at shortstop, which has definitely a lot of pay-ups, but I don't think you can go wrong with the mid-value play in Rosario. And then in the outfield, looking to kind of plug in some of these Brewers bats that I like. First guy is going to be, probably will still be able to afford like Yelich if we wanted to. Yelich at $5,100. He's expensive, but he had a home run last night. He's starting to hit the ball better. He has hits in 3 straight games. At home here, been struggling at home so far, but it's only been 25 games for him. He's missed some time this year. And 51 is still a decent price tag considering the fact that he's like $1,000 cheaper than the most expensive outfielder. And then if you plug in another guy, that's like Avisail Garcia's been really racking up the power. He's $3,900. He has 11 home runs already on the season. If you can't get to him, you can go with like Jackie Bradley Jr. instead. But it leaves you still with $3,200. You can go cheap with your catcher. There are some other cheap guys still to plug in. If you can't find anybody, maybe you can take out Yelich and go with like Jackie Bradley Jr. or go with some of these Oakland A's bats that are cheap, like a Brown is only $3,400. Seth Brown, or maybe you can go with Piscotty if he's in the lineup at just $2K. So we'll see, but right now, definitely looking at the Brewers stack, and I like just going with a couple of cheap one-offs like Lamonte Wade, maybe Rosario, and then maybe mixing in some of these Oakland bats if I can. But that's it for this DraftKings slate. Let's talk about FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, pitching-wise, they priced up Wheeler. He's the most expensive pitcher, so I think I will take some savings and go with like Freddie Peralta at only 87. He gives you similar upside. Probably has a better matchup as well going up against the Diamondbacks, and he's just too cheap at 87 for the amount of upside that he has. Possesses like 50, 60-point upside on FanDuel. Let's go ahead and plug him in at 87, and then basically it's some of the same stacks here. You'll be able to pay up for a more of an expensive stack if you go with a guy like Peralta instead of Scherzer or a Wheeler. Looking at the Oakland side, look at their bats. They got Olsen. This is a somewhat of an expensive stack. Olsen, Marcana, pretty expensive. Jed Lowry's affordable. And then with Laureano on the IL, you'll probably get Piscotty in the lineup, and he's going to be cheap. I still really like the Brewers bats, and they are going to be cheap on FanDuel. So I think throw in some Brewers bats and then just go with some expensive one-offs, like maybe throw in, even though the matchup's not great, we know Ronald Acuna is great against lefties. So maybe you can tag Urías for a home run or 2. You can also steal bases. But going back to the Brewers side here, in the outfield, I'll be able to get to Christian Yelich pretty easily. You can go with Garcia as well at $3,000. Catcher, first base, you do have a lot of options here. You can go with Cody Bellinger, $4,200 against Ian Anderson. Maybe go with Vlad Guerrero, who's been having a crazy season. Or you can be able to go with like a Matt Olson as a pay-up. A lot of good bats here to pay up for, and going Peralta, I'll be able to get to at least one of them. Love Olson. Great ballpark upgrade. And with Olson, you get a guy that's super hot right now, hits for a ton of home runs, and it's a great ballpark to maybe add to that total of the series. So Olsen and Yelich, two big bats to start your build with on FanDuel, and then you can mix in a third base guy in like Anthony Rendon, who's been quiet this year, but I think it's about time that he starts to heat up a bit. Last night, he was fine, I believe, or yeah, had a double last night, back-to-back doubles for him. Had a big game the day before that. It's a good matchup against the Mariners here. They have like a 5+ total at home. Won't mind getting to Rendon at only $3,200. Other guys at third base that you can get to are Ramirez, $3,900. Definitely can go with Matt Chapman if you wanted to instead, but he's just very affordable. Other guy would be Josh Donaldson, just because he's super hot, $3,000. Maybe you can keep it going tonight. And then last but not least, in the outfield, he still leaves with about 3,000 left, but I do like the Brewer stack again, so I'll go with Avisail Garcia to pair with Yelich. Hopefully both guys can go yard again, like they did last night. That was great for the lineups, and maybe they can do that again tonight. Great ballpark at home, bad pitcher. Think some good things will happen once again for the Brewers. So that's it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Best of luck tonight. I'll catch you all next time.